because we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. The more comfortable that people become, you know, taking the advice of myself or a fellow dietitian, then I feel like we're on the same page.
At the Table is a production of the Dairy Fuels Network, an Arizona-based multimedia platform dedicated to the people, stories, and science that live at the intersection of food, culture, and community. This series is produced in partnership with the Dairy Council of Arizona, made possible by Arizona dairy farmers who believe that real food conversations start with real relationships. I'm your host, Desi Abeda, registered dietitian, and this is At the Table. Food is culture, and nobody understands that better than a dietitian who grew up watching her mom cook and decided to spend her career making sure her patients never had to feel ashamed of theirs. My guest today is Christy Wilson, registered dietitian, educator, and one of the most thoughtful voices in the food and nutrition space that I've ever had the privilege sitting across from. We talk about what it actually looks like to teach a community to take care of itself through food, about the mentor who told her she'd only get in because she speaks Spanish, and about the line that stopped me cold the first time I heard it. We don't eat nutrients, we eat food. This is At the Table. Let's get into it. Christy, welcome to At the Table. It's a celebration of a lot of the work that we are currently doing inside of the Dairy Fuels Network. One of the things that I've been really trying to do with this mini-series, with this rollout, is talking to people who are on the ground, doing the work, and really advocating for our communities, and then utilizing some of the amazing benefits of the thing that we're celebrating today and the thing that we continue to celebrate in our cultural traditions and then also in education. So as I've been doing this, I've been kicking it off with a question that honestly, I'm really excited for the way that you all have been answering this. They're going in directions that I did not think that they would, but I'm actually kind of enjoying it. So I would love for you to explain to us as a community, as listeners, as viewers, how do you actually define what you do? I want you to stay away from the clinical version. I want you to stay with like maybe how you describe what you do to like your kids.
I have always viewed myself and as I describe it to little kids is as a teacher. There are a lot of teachers in my family, so I always say it's in my DNA that that I see myself as a teacher, teaching my patients, teaching my community how to take care of themselves through food, while honoring their cultural foods, keeping favorite foods in. That's the short version of what I do, and I love it. I carry that with me, and I think teachers are very special humans. And yeah, that's how I see myself in my role.
I love that. We've actually given some special shout outs to teachers already in previous episodes. So I love that there's a theme of the role of teachers in growth, the role of teachers in community and education. So I love that. You've had many chapters of what you've done and what you're doing right now. I think, at least from what I understand as in our friend conversations, like there's a ongoing thread of cultural appreciation and cultural love. So like, what are you doing currently right now?
So currently, I'm part of a lifestyle medicine team at a Medicare clinic that focuses on really caring for the Hispanic community. So our clinic is very strategically placed in a certain part of town where we're serving that Hispanic community, offering not only nutrition counseling, but lifestyle medicine with a lifestyle medicine focus on cooking and, food preparation for themselves, just sort of hopefully re-inspiring patients to care for themselves, from the kitchen and by being more physically active. But yes, I've had a long career already. Some has been focused in more community health, and some more on the, kind of traditional clinical end, doing some inpatient work, outpatient work. But my heart is really in outpatient.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I really enjoy, especially enjoy what I'm doing now with a senior population that was never really a big focus of mine. I guess with aging parents and aging family members, I feel like this particular population is just kind of
Yeah.
is much more sentimental for me to work with. And so I love it.
It
Yeah.
did remind me of your path. And one of the questions I've been asking a lot of our network and a lot of people and a lot of the guests that we're about to have to celebrate what we're doing, boots on the ground type of style, is you defined what you do on a day to day basis. You have an immense love for the community and now the people that you work with. I'm wondering if you can take me back to the moment that you knew that this was your work. What were you doing and what changed during that time?
Well, honestly, I didn't even know this was a career path when I had never
Dude,
met
join
a
the club.
dietitian. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no clue. I had never met a dietitian. I knew that my heart was in healthcare. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to work within that field. In high school, I did some work with, like, I was like a teen, like, focus group sort of monitor. I don't know what you call it. And so that kind of sparked my interest in healthcare. And for a second, I thought psychology, because that sort of focus groups with health topics was sort of the theme of what we were doing at the time. um, and then I looked into pharmacy. So I was a pre-pharmacy major in my freshman year, and then quickly realized that this
Dude,
was
join the
not
club.
the path for me because of all the chemistry and science, which I
Yeah.
ended up taking a lot of it anyway. But taking my first nutrition class, I mean, it might sound very cliche, but I did, I thought of nursing. So that was the next thing, like, okay, maybe nursing. So I looked at the curriculum. A lot of it did overlap with like the pharmacy curriculum. But one of the electives was a nutrition class. And I was like, I mean, I entered college eating fast food every day, drinking Coke as like my, or soda as like my main liquid source, like never drank water, didn't really care for fruit. Like,
Hmm.
it just, I was not your typical like nutrition major. Um, but I took, I have a guest
I
here.
love it. Guests are welcome.
This
Who is
is Jack.
this? What's up, Jack? Shout out to the cats in the world.
Yeah, woo woo. Um, so yeah, took my first nutrition class, and I was like, I don't know, it just really sparked my interest. And at the time, University of Arizona, go Wildcats.
Hey.
They were going through this big transition, like getting rid of their test kitchens, and it was more like science focused, clinical focused. So then I was like, well, let me take the next semester class, and that really interested me too. And it really annoyed me that I'm barely learning about nutrition now. Like at
Yeah.
that point, I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm learning all these things about food and changing my own diet, like from what I'm based on what I'm learning. And so that just really, the ball just kept rolling from there.
Hmm.
So that's when it was really at, taking classes is when it really kind of hit the mark for me. That it wasn't until like my third or fourth year in college that I learned about the internship, and I was like, "Oh my God, like what did I just switch into that now I'm committed to this internship that I know nothing about."
Hmm.
Um but that was a little scary. I didn't have a whole lot of encouragement from like people that I thought would be mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I volunteered as for a dietitian in town who was also Latina, who I thought like, all right, you got my back. I was looking for that support,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a bad assumption on my part. She was not encouraging. And I used the story. I mean, I don't know if you want to hear it.
Well, I'm honestly really interested because one of the parts is like, what's the hardest part that no one talks about? And I
Yeah.
think mentorship is such a huge, like, hot button thing because we all know of the good mentors and we've
And the
likely
not good
been
mentors.
humbled by the ones that are not good mentors.
Yeah.
So like, go for it.
Yeah. So I was, babe in the woods. Like I knew nothing, right? I'm like here to learn. And I'm like I'm Gen X. So I'm like analog. I'm like taking notes of everything. I've got like, I'm all in. And she asked me, because we didn't know each other. And I looked in the phone book for any like clinic that said nutrition, if they had nutrition services. So she's just kind of asking me questions, and she's like, oh, are you going to apply for an internship? And I said, yeah, that's my plan. And she says, oh, you won't get in the first time that you apply. And I was like, okay. And she said, and if you do, it's only because you speak Spanish. Like,
oh my God.
What? So, I mean, what do you say to that as a student? This is somebody that you're like working under, you're learning under. And so that, like, right off the bat, I was like, oh gosh, this is not encouraging. And she had me do like, I mean, you're a volunteer, not even an intern, you're a volunteer. So, something that I think is very important is to find those mentors that encourage you. And from that day forward, once I became a registered dietitian and had interns, I'm like, I will never treat an intern the way that I was treated, because that is so discouraging. Fortunately, it didn't discourage me, and I was persistent. I was like, I was all in.
That's you. Yeah.
And there was nothing that was gonna, even people like that, which I even, I came across some preceptors who were, kind of had the same attitude.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, good teachers and not so good teachers. And sometimes the not so good teachers and mentors just light the fire under you. And you're like, I'm going to do this anyway, in spite of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you obviously don't have much faith in me, but I have faith in me. And I'm going to like continue on this path and find that path that feels good to me.
So I'm wondering for you, like you and I have had a ton of private conversations about the role of dairy and how it shows up culturally and how it's such a complement to what we do culturally with food. And so I'm wondering for you, like, how does dairy show up not only just in your work, but also in your life?
I mean, coffee. My best purchase during lockdown during COVID was an espresso machine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was, I mean, Facebook Marketplace, espresso machine.
Espresso machine's a game changer once you do it, and then you never go back.
No, so I was making my own lattes every morning, and then I'd record the like pour and just sort of share my thoughts of the day, or just like one of those like, hey, we got to get through this day. Also, just with my kids, cereal, oatmeal, adding milk is a way to add in, that extra nutrition versus adding water. Don't add water to oatmeal. Like, oh,
yeah, it's a bit of a travesty. Yeah,
it is. It's like, gosh,
like you don't want the
flavor.
protein and the electrolytes. Like, what are we doing here?
All the nutrition. Like, no, add milk instead of water.
Yeah.
A cottage cheese, love it. I mean, that's kind of my super quick lunch. I know cottage cheese has had its moment, its little spotlight, but I'm like, oh gee, like, cottage cheese lover here. Sometimes I just add salsa to it and get some crackers and hey, or tuna, and I
Yeah.
mix it in with the cottage cheese. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, as a kid, I grew up on cereal and milk. Like that was breakfast every morning. So I love it. At work, it's a lot of yogurt because that's something that is pretty well accepted
Hmm.
with the population that I work with, especially because it's lower in lactose for those who have some sensitivity to lactose. So yogurt's pretty well tolerated, and we use it in like, smoothie if we're doing like a
Yeah.
smoothie demonstration. Cottage cheese also is shows up quite a bit when we're talking about healthy snacks, especially for people with diabetes, and kind of that could be your protein
Yeah.
to pair with fruit. So you got that carbohydrate protein combination that's good for stable blood sugar, and it's something people like. So, and
Hmm.
that's ultimately the most important thing. But something that, isn't focused on is including foods that people like to eat, because
Yeah.
taste rules.
Yeah.
If it doesn't taste good, people are not going to keep eating it. And to be eating foods that you don't like that is such a bummer. That
Yeah.
is so sad. I tell students, and I tell people who are like, oh, should I be tracking what I eat? That works for some people, but
Sure.
for the rest of us, like, we're not robots.
Hmm.
We have food preferences, we have our cultural foods,
Yeah.
that certainly can fit into anybody's diet.
Yeah.
And when I say diet, I mean the definition of diet, which is what we eat and drink every day.
Yep.
That is the definition.
Yeah.
It's just gotten so twisted over the years that people just like have this perception of what, especially dietitians, are talking about when we do say that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
that's a bummer too.
It is a bummer. It is a bummer. And it's honestly a huge part of things that, maybe we do say out loud among, our friend groups, but like something that
Mhm.
happens a lot. So, I mean, I think you're spot on. I'm wondering for you, like you do this in two languages. What do you feel like gets lost in translation? Just not necessarily just education, but like overall, like what do you feel like gets lost
Yeah.
in translation when someone is not able to speak the language of the community that they represent?
Yeah, well, I, like you, didn't really start to speak Spanish regularly until I was forced to do it during my internship. It is like one of my RD, like dear RD friends says, like, being bilingual is a superpower, and
It
I
is.
love that because it's true.
Yeah.
And there's so many nuances that are missed when you don't speak the
Hmm.
language. I mean, we can use interpretation services like over the
Sure.
phone or virtually, but it is not the same.
There's
And
separation like in the like connection of like conversation. I totally agree.
yeah, absolutely. And when in my first job, as my first professional RD job, which was at an outpatient clinic in East Dallas, I, when patients would ask me, ¿Hablas español?
Mm,
And when I'd say yes, it's like this relief on their face because they
so
maybe
true.
had spoken to a dietitian in the past, but it was somebody who did not speak Spanish. So, that comfort level is really broken when
Hmm.
they know right away it's like, I can't express myself fully because they don't understand. They're not
Yeah.
like honestly speaking the same language. So I remember in my very first job that it was like such a relief for the patients. They were like, oh, good. I can just talk to you the way I
Yeah.
would talk to, anybody.
Hmm.
And that really meant a lot to me that, maybe I don't speak perfect Spanish, but it's enough where in context, like they can fill in a word for me that they know I'm trying to get out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even to this day, that happens too. And I'm okay with it. I don't speak perfect Spanish and they don't speak perfect English, but we can still communicate, and
Yeah.
everybody eats. And
Yeah.
so that's really a gift to be
Hmm.
able to speak the language of, the language that your patients are more comfortable speaking.
Yeah. If this thing of providing healthy connection to food, culture, and education the way that you do works effectively, paint us the picture. Like, what does that look like in someone's life?
It looks like someone being comfortable with what they're eating and enjoying their favorite foods, knowing that health can be improved, maintained, gained, um, by not looking at food in such a technical way, because we don't eat nutrients, we eat food.
Yeah.
And the more comfortable that people become, you know, taking the advice of myself or a fellow dietitian, um, then I feel like we're on the same page. And when they see those results, when they feel better because of a few modifications that they've made, which could be like eating at least one serving of fruit a day or including
Small things.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, like add more vegetables on top of your tacos, or add salsa, it's all vegetables, that sort of thing. And they're just like, they what the response that I've gotten from patients is like, hey, this does work, I can do this, and really
Yeah.
empowering patients, which again goes back to being a teacher. Like a good teacher empowers their students.
Yeah.
And so I feel as dietitians, the more that we empower our patients that they can do this is not beyond them, and really listening to those patients' struggles, because something again that is not taught is how emotional food is to everything. It just, you start talking about food and you've got people crying about it,
Yeah.
for different reasons. But the perfect scenario is after they've met with me one or several times, they start incorporating some of these tips into their lives, realize that it is possible to do these things, and they're feeling better, they have more energy, they're still honoring their culture, they can still eat tamales now and then and not feel guilty about it. That's the other thing, is kind of getting that shame out of the picture. It's very gratifying.
Yeah. All right. Chrissy, you ready?
Yeah.
I got 4 questions, rapid fire. I'm not going to react. I promise you.
Right.
All right, ready. Number 1. What is the rest of your life in 5 words?
Independent. Oh gosh, I didn't prepare for this. Okay, independent. Jeez. Active. Okay. Yes, maintain my activity. A lot of laughter.
Okay.
Mom, being a mom. Yeah, and travel.
Okay, second question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Defend it.
No. A sandwich has 2 separate pieces of bread. A hot dog is connected. No.
Okay. All right, 3. Smash or pass, cottage cheese and guacamole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I will defend that forever.
I love it.
And my mom makes it that way, so that's how I learned.
I know. I started doing it randomly, and my family loves it. They made fun of me at first, but I was like, you don't want higher protein in your guac?
And
like,
it's
what is your
creamy.
problem?
Like, it gives texture. And yeah.
All right, I'm not supposed to. I'm going to shut up. Okay. I'm not supposed to say anything. Last one. One food that tells your whole story?
This is a food that I feel is a diamond in the rough. Jicama. It's not very attractive. Once you cut through it, it's sweet.
Dang. That is a really good one. Okay. All right, Christy, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're at the table. Before we get going, please let the people know where they can find you.
I am most active on Instagram, but I also have TikTok and Facebook at Christy Wilson Nutrition, and I have a website as well.
And a future cookbook coming out at some point. We're going to push her to do it. All right, later, y'all.